to the class of Social Science for Civics, class 9, chapter number 3, part 2. The name of the chapter is Constitutional Design. I repeat, the name of the chapter is Constitutional Design. In the contents of part 2, we will discuss about the problem faced by the readers while making the Indian Constitution. Next, the path to the Constitution. Third point, guiding values of the Indian Constitution. I repeat, guiding values of the Indian Constitution and the dreams and the promises. Now the problem faced while the Indian Constitution was being made. Okay, India was a huge and a diverse country. This you all know, that the several religions and the customs and the traditions people are living in India. The country was divided on the basis of religious differences. The merger of the princely states with India or Pakistan or remain independent was really a terrible task. Okay, it was too difficult to decide that what actually they have to do. The future of the country was not seen much secure to make the constitution. Why so? Because so much destruction was going on inside the country. Firstly, the discrimination basis, the religious discrimination, the racial discrimination which was going on, it was all making a puzzle, okay? But every situation was complicated, especially the India and the Pakistan partition at the partition time. Over there, the Hindus and the Muslim community, the Sikh community, they all were fighting with each other very badly. Apart from it, the minority peoples, they are also suffering a lot. And above them, the princely states, okay, they were unable to justify or take the judgment whether they have to go with India or they want to go with the Pakistan or they want their independent states by their own. This was variously making the future very terrible for the leaders to make that whether this constitution is going to be helpful for them or not. Now comes to the part of the constitution. Despite of all these difficulties, there was one big advantage to the makers of the Indian constitution. Unlike the South Africa, they did not have to create a conscious about what a democratic India should look like. Okay, much of the consequences had enveloped during the freedom struggle. Okay. According to the freedom struggle, the leaders have already known that what actually we want India to be and what are the norms and the regulations should be made for the people of the citizens of India. A national movement was not merely a struggle against the foreign rule, it was also a struggle to rejuvenate our country and to transform our society and the politics. Okay. The national movement, the last movement by which we finally got the freedom, it was not only a struggle against this British East Indian Company, but it was also came to a movement or a struggle to make the whole country united all together. Okay, where finally the whole country came as one and we got the independence. There was a sharp difference of opinion within the freedom struggle about the path India should take after independence. Okay, during this struggle time, the leaders finally got the notice that yes, what the people are doing right now for the country, they are able to do anything whatever they want. Okay, they are always ready to help for the country. So this was a main aspect which was being founded by the leaders of the at that duration for the national movement, that yes, these were the set of the rules which we have to be made it important while writing our Constitution of India, and the people will obey all these things. Such difference exists even today. Okay, now over there, whatever the views the leaders had thought for, and they really wanted to do that, so it all came right now. The same differences being existing today. Yes, we used to fight. The people used to fight with each other. There were so many things. Minority things are there also, apart from the political parties fights or any individual citizens fight. But when it comes to the point of the country, when it comes to the prestige of the country, when it comes to the image of the country in front of anyone, the country stands one. Okay, yet some basic ideas had come to be accepted by almost. Okay, so individually whatever we are doing, it's our own business, but when it's coming for the aspect or the respect or the prestige of the country individually, the people, the citizens of the India are one. This was actually being analyzed by the leaders during the national movement time. Okay, so this made all the people over here to be the leaders, that yes, these are some few aspects over there we have to follow, and we all hope that these rules and the regulations are going to be followed in future for a longer duration of time. As far back in 1928, Motilal Nehru and 8 other Congress leaders, you know what actually they did? They finally drafted the Constitution of India. In 1931, the regulation at the Karachi session of the Indian National Congress dwelt on how independent India's constitution should look like. Okay, now what actually happened? In 1928, Motilal Nehru and 8 other Congress leaders, they drafted a constitution for India. Okay, just drafting. And in 1931, the resolution at the Karachi session of the Indian National Congress was dwelt. Okay, and they already decided that how the India's constitution, independent India's constitution will look like. Both these documents were committed to the inclusion of universal adult franchise, which we actually are following right now, said right to the freedom and equality, and to protecting the rights of the minorities in the constitution of the independent India. So over that time, Motilal Nehru drafted the constitution having some special features. And what were those special features? Just look at universal adult franchise. I will be repeating everything twice. Okay, listen it properly. Universal adult franchise, right to the freedom and equality. Okay, universal adult franchise, right to the freedom and equality, and to protecting the rights of minorities. Okay, so there were the 3 main aspects what Motilal Nehru has written, or according to the norms or whatever he felt like for a free Indian constitution should be. Okay, so 3 norms were the basic thing. First one was, again I repeat with you all, universal adult franchise. Second one, freedom to right to the freedom and equality. Number 3, to protecting the rights of minorities. Okay, apart from it, there were several other things also which was being given. Basic values were being accepted by all the leaders before the Constituent Assembly, much to deliberate on the constitution. Okay, they all wanted that all these things, all these norms should be followed properly with the basic values. Each and every person and the citizen of the country should follow some ethics, some principles, some morals, okay, towards the country, towards the nation, and towards the rest, all the citizens of this country. Now, continuing to the part of the constitution, the familiarity with the political institution of the canonical rule also helped develop an agreement, okay, over the institutional design. Yes, whatever the policies the British East India Company had followed, by just seeing the results of those policies, over here again the leaders have got one other aspect also, another idea or another way to find out, to make the institutional design of our constitution. The British rule had given voting rights, okay, only to a few. At that time, only few were being given the voting right, but in the new constitutional design, it was being said that voting rights should be given to each and every individual citizen of this country. On that basis, the British had introduced very weak legislatures. Elections were held in 1937 to the provisional and the legislatures and the Britishers, all ministers all over the British India. These were not fully democratic governments, but the experience gained by the Indians in the working of the institutions proved to be a very useful. okay, in setting up their own institutions and working in them. Okay, previously, for just I'm giving you an example. Right now, I'm working in your school. Okay, in this school I'm working, Ghana Kingdom. Now here, as being a teacher, I'm just getting the experience how to work, how to teach the students, okay, how to tackle some work of the management and every other thing. If I'm giving the responsibilities. Now, this is my work, this is my job. Now, in future, if I just plan to open up my own institution, what experience will help me out in that work, in that field? It will help the experience I gained from the school, experience I gained from the other aspects of the work I did in the school. So these all things leads us and made us at that time also, as the Britishers introduced the voting system, but it was being only introduced to a very few candidates, okay. So it was a very poor legislatures over there. But after the election and what are the institutions the Indian used to work, they all trapped the experience from there. And with that experience, they finally came up with their own institutional design of the constitution, okay. That is why the Indian Constitution adopted many institutional details and procedures from the colonial laws like the Government of India Act in 1935. Okay, so I'm not saying that every laws made by the British East India Company was wrong. No, there were several laws which actually the rules they all made it for the betterment of us right now, in which the free India is surviving. But some rules were being vice and versa related to it. Over there, what were the good aspects the Indian leaders had used? They all tried to adopt all those things regarding the government, regarding the country, okay, and which all came in the Government of India Act in 1935. Now, years of thinking and deliberation on the framework of the Constitution had another benefit. Our leaders gained confidence to learn from other countries, whatever the countries, other several countries who were accepting, who were trying to change their several constitutions, or who were trying to change the types of the government which will be having. If they are having the monarchy, again they will be converting into democratic form of government. Dictatorship was also converting into democratic type of government. So these all experiences from other countries also, it all gained with by the Indian leaders. They all tapped and adapted all the good qualities of other nations too, okay, but on our own terms, okay. They did not just do the copycat of that, they just not copy paste of those norms, but whatever is suitable for the country or whatever the rules which are suitable for the citizens, okay, they are being only taken, but it was being again changed or implemented, or some modification was done in those rules as per the requirement of the country. Now, many of our leaders were inspired by the ideals of the French Revolution. Okay, this you all know that the French Revolution was actually a very inspirational revolution throughout the whole world. The practice of the parliamentary democracy in Britain and the Bill of Rights in the US. These three was actually the main inspirations of the Indian Constitution. The socialist revolution in Russia had inspired many Indians to think of shaping a system based on social and economic equality. Okay, in Russia, actually, what happened? There was a socialist revolution. Socialist revolution means discriminating was totally being abolished in that revolution. No inferior and no superior will be there. Every person has the equal right at the social and economic status. Okay, doesn't matter if you are from the higher class, you are only going to enjoy the social status and the economic status inside the country. The minority people, the lower caste people can also enjoy their social and economic status equal to the upper level by their qualification. If yes, they are being highly qualified, their qualification, their knowledge, their skills, everything is appropriate to the upper level, we also have the right to enjoy the social and the economic status equal to the upper level or the upper class. So this, which we are actually see Right now we can see the president of India, the president of India is belonging from the scheduled caste family. Okay, he is from the scheduled caste, from the, is said to be the OBC caste. Okay, now over there, but spite of that caste, do this caste is basic was I can say hurdle in the way of becoming a president for him? No, not at all. Why so? Because of this equality, the social and the economic equality. Okay, yet there was not simply imitating whatever had done. Okay, what others they have done, they are not taking or grasping the thing immediately like that. Okay, whatever they did, we are just going to do the copy and paste of this in the country. No, whatever is suitable for the citizen of the country, whatever is suitable for the citizens of the country, we are going to modify the rules. The rule is good, we can change it. For example, you can say many schools used to open at 6:30, 7:30 in the morning, but as per the terms and the duration, the timings of the people, okay, the locality, the times modifies also. The school has the authority to change. Why the school can change the timings according to that? As per the locality, because they know the students will not find comfortable to come. May possible parents can also have some problem in this. So here the same thing had happened, that the leaders adapted the policy, adapted the good rules and regulations from other country. Okay, track the good policies, track the good norms, whatever the struggle they did, whatever the other countries norms have been written in the other constitutions or of other countries, but they try to modify and change and implement it as per the requirement of the country. Now, at each step there was questioning whether these things are suited for the country or not. If it's not suited, it was not being implemented inside the country. All these factors really contributed to making our constitution. Students, making the Indian constitution was not actually an easy task. It was seriously a terrible hard task and a very difficult task. It was just like that, you can say impossible was just trying to convert it into a possible thing. Okay, over here, whatever the mind, the stress, the pain the leaders had bear at that time for making this constitution, they really know that. And we are the part of that country. We should be actually being revolted. We should actually be dedicated to ourselves, towards our country and towards the constitutional norms. So these policies, whatever been made and adopted by other countries, earlier, and which was adopted and accepted by the Indian leaders while making the Indian constitution, was seriously a hats of task for them, a hat of task towards them. We should pay homage and we should be proud of being an Indian. Now, here, whatever the norms they made, they just try to make it with the one question, that whether it is going to be implemented or whether it's going to be good for the future, longer future generation of the citizens of this country. Now, one question arises in my mind, that why should we accept the constitution made by this assembly more than 50 years ago? Now, one reason we have already got it, that the constitution does not reflect the views of the members, or not only one member, there were several members. Okay, it impresses a broad consensus of the time. Okay, many countries of the world have had to rewrite their constitution afresh because of the basic rules were not accepted by all the major society or the major social groups or the political parties of the country. Okay, same like here in India also it had happened. In some other countries the constitution exists as well as a mere piece of paper. They were not actually being followed, and no one actually follows the rules and regulations. They were doing whatever they like to do. So at that time and the present time it was totally different. Okay, so we are not saying that we should just do the copy paste of the constitution of other countries. We had done, we had taken the norms, we have taken the rules and regulations, but we tried to implement it as per the requirement of the citizens, as per the conditions required by the citizens of the country. Now, the second reason for accepting the constitution was the constitution is that assembly actually represented by the people. Okay, so constitution is not only the merely rules and laws. It's not in a piece of paper. It was a very great task. A great task of electing the good representatives of the country who are going to make the norms for our country, for all the citizens of the country. Okay, there was no universal franchise at that time, so the Constituent Assembly could not have been chosen directly by all the people of India. As you all know, that the East India Company had given they have given the right to vote only to few citizens. Okay, few people or the few members of India or the citizens of India were being given right to vote. So over there, the universal franchise was not being totally implemented on the citizens. Now, it was elected mainly by the members of the provisional legislature that we have already mentioned above, that Motilal Nehru and many other people who were the princely states, okay, the Britishers also, they were all taking part in the elections. The assembly was dominated by the Indian National Congress, the party that led India's freedom struggle. Okay, this Constituent Assembly, this group of political leaders who have been elected, they were being headed by the Indian National Congress. Okay, Indian National Congress is said to be the India's first political party, which actually led the political system on the ground. Okay, it's not working not that time, it's working since the freedom struggle. But the Congress itself included a variety of political groups and opinions. Okay, after becoming the head, they already provided, the Congress itself included, okay, itself merged with the varieties of the political opinions and the political other groups too. So in this, the second reason for accepting the constituent was the constitution is that the assembly who was being represented by the people or elected by the citizens of the country. But at that time, the universal franchise was not in the form. Okay, it was not implemented. So only provisional legislatures, the members of the provisional legislature, they were only helping, okay, in the form of or in the function of the voting system. Okay, at that time, very few Indians were being given the right to the vote, and in that the Britishers were also involved in this elections. Now, so this all made the constitution to be done and to be made by the leaders or the Constitution Assembly leaders, which is said to be the Indian National Congress. Now, the experience of a constitution is different. Okay, over the last half a century, several groups have questioned some provisions of the constitution, but no large social group of the political party have ever questioned the legalities of the constitution itself. This is an unusual achievement of the constitution. Okay, over here, whatever the norms they made, for a longer duration of time, no social group came in or political party even ever questioned about the function of the governing government. Okay, they never question on the work of the National Congress and why you are doing implemented this, why you are not implemented it. And this was seriously a very major achievement, unusual achievement which has happened in India. The assembly had made members who did not agree with the Congress. In social term too, the assembly represented members with different language groups, castes, classes, religions and occupation. I repeat, in social term too, the assembly represented members from different language groups also, castes, classes, religions and occupations, not only from one aspect. Even if the Constitution Assembly was elected by the universal franchise, its composition would not have been very different. Okay, at that time, over the very few people were being given the right to vote. But even then, if the right was being given in the form of a universal franchise, this factor, this policy was not going to be changed. Then we have to elect the members from every social group. They can be from the religious groups, language groups, okay, caste, classes, religions, occupation, doesn't matter. And this policy you are still able to see while the elections. There are so many people who are coming or becoming the members or coming in the political line or from different occupation, different religion, different classes, and no one is there to bound them or to stop them, though you are not being allowed because you are not belonging from any political party or you are not belonging from any political background. Okay, this was the main unusual achievement which was being done or achieved by the constitution members. Now, finally, the member in which the Constituent Assembly worked, it all gave the sanctity of the Constitution, and finally the Constitution started making. The Constituent Assembly worked in a systematic, open and consensual manner. Okay, consensual manner over here means it means taking the norms, rules and regulations properly all together, but working very systematically and effectively. First, some basic principles were decided and agreed upon. Then, a drafting committee chaired by Dr. Bhimrao Ambedkar prepared a draft constitution for discussion. Several rounds of thorough discussion took on the draft constitution, clause by clause. And you all know that Dr. Bhimrao Ambedkar had studied around the constitution of 16 countries before writing or before drafting the Indian constitution, and that's why Indian constitution is said to be a very rigid constitution. It's very complicated. You are not able to understand so easily until unless you really analyze and check out the rules and regulations properly. More than 2,000 amendments were considered. Okay, why the amendments were amendment? Now, do you know the meaning of the word amendment is? Amendment actually means whenever we are having any law, it's been made in law, we are just modifying that law. We are not changing that law totally, but it was being only implemented or it was being only totally modified or changed to some extent. Okay, the rule is not abolished at all. Now, more than 2,000 amendments were being considered. The members deliberated for 114 days, spread over 3 years. Okay, they were non-stop working for the constitution. Every document presented and every word was spoken in the Constituent Assembly has been recorded and still preserved. Now, this was seriously a miracle that happened in the Constituent Assembly, that whatever they wrote, whatever they wrote, they spoke in front of every member, and every member had heard this. It's all been recorded and still preserved. These are called the Constituent Assembly debates. Okay, and still today the political leaders in the member of the parliament or in the legislative assembly follow these norms. They used to discuss. They used to on any of the social issue or topic, they used to discuss in the assembly, and after analyzing all the things, whatever they discuss is being recorded and also preserved, and after that they take and go for the election procedure. It means for the time of the judgment, do the people want it or not? Okay, when printed, these debates were the 12 bulky volumes. Bulky volume means in a very good quantity. The number of the pages were in huge quantity. The debates provided the rationale behind every provision of the constitution. Okay, this debate was not only limited to some small aspects of the norms. It was related to every aspect, whatever they have been written in the paper. So every paper, every word, every sentence was being totally, and it was in briefly detailed discussed in the Constituent Assembly with the members. These are used to interpret the meaning of the constitution. Now, these all what they actually did, these all made the meaning of the constitution in a very wide manner. Okay, in a very spread manner, in a very huge manner, that the person should understand that what actually the leaders want from the citizens and what actually the citizens want from the government to do. Okay, and what are the aspects which make the people and the citizens of the country live in a harmony manner. Okay, there should be no fight, no discrimination, only just love, peace and harmony inside the country. So these all finally made the Constituent Assembly, and this is how the Constitution Assembly was being formed. Now, coming to the guiding values of the Indian Constitution, we can understand that the Constitution of India through two ways. Okay, the first way by reading the views of some major leaders on the Constitution. The second one is by understanding what the Constitution says about its own philosophy. So if we really want to understand the Indian Constitution, we can only understand by the two ways. Firstly, understand what the some major leaders, whatever they wanted to say to you, the views, whatever about they had according towards the Constitution. Okay, and the second one, by understanding what the Constitution says about its own philosophy. Now, come on the topic, but the dream and the promise. Now, the dream of India as eliminated equality and shared by Dr. Ambedkar, who played a key role in the making of the Indian Constitution, but he had a different understanding of how inequalities could be removed. He often bitterly criticized Mahatma Gandhi and his vision. Usually he do that, so in his concluding speech to the Constituent Assembly, he stated his anxiety very clearly. Now here I am going to read what actually he wrote and he said in the Constituent Assembly. I shall strive for a condition which will realize India all guidance and patronage. I shall work on an India in which the poorest shall lead it, the country in whose making they have effective voice. An India in which there shall be no high class or low class of people. An India in which all communities shall live in perfect harmony. There will be no room in such an India for the curse of untouchability or the curse of intoxicating drinks and drugs. Women will enjoy the same rights as men, and I shall satisfy with nothing else. Okay, whatever I want, I just really want India should be very free from the curse of untouchability, from the curse of another intoxicating drinks and the drugs at that time the people used to have, especially the male people. Okay, women should also enjoy all the equal rights as per the men, whatever they are enjoying. So, may possible that I will be satisfied only after that, until unless I am not going to make myself satisfied. Concluding with the speech of Dr. Bhimrao Ambedkar, he said that on 26th of January 1950, we are going to enter a life of contradictions. In politics, we will have equality, and in social and economic life, we will have inequality. In politics, we will be recognizing the principle of one man, one vote, and one vote, one value. In our social and economic life, we shall, by reason of our social and economic structure, continue to deny the principle of one man, one value. How long shall we continue to live the life of contradictions? How long shall we continue to deny the equality on a social and economic life? If we continue to deny it for long, we will do only by putting the political democracy in birth. Okay, over here he actually was trying to say that whatever the bad scenario we have already faced, do we really want to continue with this, or we really want to live peacefully in harmony? Okay, in a very good environment where we can really develop ourselves and we can really develop our nation. Now, finally, after this, we should turn on the Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, who really spoke at the midnight of the 15th August 1947 for rest all other nations, and what actually he said, just look at it. Now what Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru said, long years ago we made a terrace with destiny, okay, a meeting with destiny, and now the time comes when we shall redeem our pledge, not wholly or in full measure, but more very sustainably, okay, very quietly we should have adopt that thing. At the stroke of the midnight hour, when word sleeps, India will awake of life and freedom. A moment which comes but rarely in history, when we step out from the old to the new, when an age ends and when the soul of a nation long suppressed find utterance. It is fitting that all the Solomon moments we take the pledge of dedication to the service of India and have the people and still larger cause of humanity. Now, did you understand that what actually, you try to understand that what actually, how, happiness, the feeling of equality, the feeling of warmness, the feeling of pleasure was coming in the heart of the political leaders at that time when they really finally drafted the Constitution of India, and they were just seeking that the future of the India, the future of the citizen of this country are going to be very, very bright for a longer duration of time. Concluding with the speech of Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, he said, freedom and power-bearing responsibility. The responsibility rests upon this assembly, a sovereign body representing the sovereign people of India. Before the birth of freedom, we have endured all the pains of labor, and our hearts are heavy with the memory of this sorrow. Yes, we really suffered with the sorrow. You all know that whatever the pain we had felt, the people had felt during the freedom fighter struggle, and before that, during the duration of the East India Company, they really know that what actually they had suffered for. Some of those pains continue even now. Yes, obviously, still just take the lines of Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru. What he said, some of those pains continue even now. Even still, at this present scenario, after having 100 years of independence, there are several places, there are several aspects, there are several things that really the people really feel pain from their heart that yes, this all had happened with the Indians during by the East Indian Company. Now, he continued, nevertheless, the past is over. It is the future that beckons to us now, okay? Now, whatever the past had been gone, it is totally ended now. Now, the future which is coming, it is going to give us a proper backbone, and on that backbone, we are going to continue to live or survive for a longer duration. Continuing with the speech, he said that future is not one of ease or resting but of instant striving. Okay, he clearly said that it's not a resting position. Okay, finally we have done a lot of work, now we have to rest. No, we have to not have to rest. We have to struggle. We have to struggle to make those norms implemented inside the country. We have to struggle for a longer duration that the people should follow. We have to make aware each and every citizen of this country to get implemented, to get developed, okay, socially, economically, and in every aspect, okay, so that we may fulfill our pledges. We have so often taken the one we shall take today, okay. From very longer duration, we are still working for the same thing. Now we really want that it should be taken away for a very longer duration. Okay, the people should follow those things. The service of India means the service of the millions who suffer. Okay, so for our India, the coming, it's not coming only for one citizen. It means for all the members. Okay, just as you take care of your family member. Doesn't matter how many numbers they are. When coming towards on the base of the family, every person is alert. Okay, same like here. Why it cannot be happened towards the country? And sometimes, usually many times, it has been seen in today's scenario. Also, students, when the coming to the point or on the image of country, all the citizens stands one. Okay, it means that the ending of the poverty and ignorance and the disease and equality of opportunity. He was just going on in the speech, and he said what he said. Whenever the people of India will understand that the service of India means the service of the millions who suffer, at that time it will be the ending point of the poverty. It will be the ending point of ignorance. It will be the ending point of the disease, and it will be the ending point of the inequality of opportunities. The ambition of the greatest men of our generation has been to wipe every tear from every eye. Okay? Now, the ambition of the greatest men over here means related to the committee members, related to the every constituent assembly members who really helped for the struggle for the Constituent Assembly, formation of the Constitution, and also during the freedom fighting or the freedom movement. He said that that ambition, that scope, that objective will be achieved. Okay, and every tear will be bent, every tear will be wiped from every eye of the citizen. That may be beyond us, but as long as their tears are suffering, so long our Lord will be over. Okay, so what he said, till the time, that the meantime, the tears are not going to end. Every person, every citizen is not going to take a sigh of relief or live in a peace and harmony environment, or is going to develop as whatever they thought for. The work is going to be continued till that time. We cannot take rest. We, the political leaders, cannot take rest. We, who are the representatives elected by the citizens, cannot take rest. And in today's scenario, students, this all will be implemented, and this all will be followed by Mr. Narendra Modi also, who is our Prime Minister of India. He really follows the principles, whatever been in this speech, whatever the statement has been written, it's all been followed by him. He is actually implementing himself, or making himself, or trying to proving himself, or applying all the norms and all the thinkings of the great Indian leaders at that time, who really implemented or made the Indian Constitution to be for the betterment of the public. Okay, so you just read the chapter properly. Again, I am telling you all, read the chapter properly. Try to understand what actually these speeches said to you. Okay, thank you for watching this video. Till then, have a great day ahead.